always talk to people too when I like talk about like what Power 106 was like in those days, because you guys were program directors, right?
No, we weren't program directors, but we had the ear of the director, basically.
Was Rick Cummings?
Rick Cummings, yeah.
So yeah, basically, I mean, they would play like Diggable Planets and EPMD crossover and like then Dre and like random stuff that like maybe I don't know, like Diggable Planets. I feel like now if they came up would not be played on the radio.
Nah, cause like so you guys' generation was like the generation in the background of my childhood, right?
Soundtrack to your childhood?
Yeah. So the music that you're making for sure, or you were saying you're actually making too, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. But when I got older, when I got like when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, this is like, or actually my late teens is when like Rockets came out, right? And it was so amazing that like this kind of music was out there at at our fingertips. But I think about when you guys were on the radio, like it was a pistol grip pump, something like that. I'm from Project Blow, so that record right there. Like the equivalent of that happening in LA right now is impossible.
Right.
Like an underground record that gets like really hot. I feel like in Atlanta maybe that can kind of happen, but in LA it hasn't happened.
Well, it happens every day in Atlanta but that's just the sound of Atlanta. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
They eat, breathe, and shit that shit.
They're always looking for the underground. Everything's new. I mean, as soon as somebody comes out and they blow up, there's already somebody new coming underneath them.
Yeah. Really?
It's that fast.
There's like 3 hip hop stations in Atlanta.
Yeah, there's 3 hip hop stations there now, but the underground there, the movement is so crazy. I was just out there recently with our lawyer, and he works with everybody from Mike Will to everybody big. Future. He told me about Future before. When he did the song Racks with YC, he did that song, but he's like, YC got the deal, but Future's the star.
Yeah.
Like
he said that. He said those words.
He told me that. He's like, after this, YC don't have anything. Future wrote that whole song.
Yeah.
So, after that one song, that was it.
So basically that's what happened.
Yeah, Trinidad James too. I mean, like he had that one song and that was it.
Trinidad James. There's some new guy named Zeus that he's been talking to me about
Zeus
now.
Talented, yeah.
So he's been, he's always in the studios. He's running around, so he'll send me stuff all the time. And we have to stay ahead of the game as far as music goes with our syndicated show because we're 2 weeks delayed. Yeah. So when we record,
so you're fighting the internet. That's like us right here. Not to bring it back on us, but if 1 week we don't do it, everything we talked about last week is not important.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Quick.
So we have to be three weeks ahead on a record, at least 3 to 4 weeks ahead. So when we play it and it's new, it's barely, everybody else is barely starting to play it.
So do you play a lot of stuff that's not even mastered yet?
Like, I mean, most of the stuff's mastered nowadays. I mean, it'll be like right out the studio type stuff, but yeah. So we're always looking for new stuff.
That's tight.
So you guys obviously are from Bakersfield. Your dad was he owned a nightclub.
Yeah, he created a nightclub in Bakersfield in '84. The goal and the dream was to have upstairs 21 and over, and downstairs would be for the kids.
That's tight.
16 and over, and the upstairs never got done. It just took too much money, and the landlord got greedy. He started seeing all the success my dad was having downstairs at the 16 and over. It was like 1,000 kids every Friday and Saturday night, each night. In Bakersfield, of all places. Yeah. It was like the UN in '91 and Bakersfield in '84.
Yeah.
So it was cracking, and that's where I fell in love with the turntables at 12, 11 years old.
Were you spinning at some of those parties?
Eventually my father threw out the DJ. And
tell the story why. Because don't just say it like that.
There's a backstory to my father firing the DJ. When everybody would leave the club at like 2 in the morning, the DJ used to leave with a couple of chicks, and he would leave his turntables and everything set up in the DJ booth.
Yeah.
And I started turning the equipment on and started fucking around with the turntables. Yeah. And then the DJ found out about it, and he got smart and took his power cord. He had this special cord that you can only plug up.
It was a pigtail.
It was a pigtail cord. You plug it up, turn it, and that was the power.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So he took his cord. I was like, "Fuck."
And that was a power cord for the turntables.
Yeah, because it was all encased in one coffin.
Okay.
So it was one power cord for everything. Everything was all encased.
So
that seems real handy. Like I can.
Technology was. I mean that in Bakersfield at that point in time, it was a special made coffin.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And so he got smart, took his power cord, and I was like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?" So I got swift with it, and I took an extension cord. I spliced the extension cord, and I plugged the fucking thing up to underneath the coffin. You can't stop me. And so he found that out, and he really went off. He was like, he told my dad, he's like, your son is messing with my stuff. If he breaks it, it's gonna be a problem. And my dad was like, basically.
So he's like, it's not a toy, it's not a toy, this and that, and all that stuff like that. And so he kept doing it.
Have you seen the Lego movie?
No.
You ever seen it? It sounds like Lord business within you.
So he, we'd find extension cord, a lot of extension cords that were spliced. So we find excess of. He ruined a brand new 50-foot extension cord just to cut the tip, and he's not an electrician, but
you are an electrician.
He tried to be. He just stuck it in there and turned the power on.
Yeah.
So he found out about it, and basically, long story short, the guy had it out with my dad, and my dad said, "You know what?
Oh, you guys are brothers.
Yeah, we're brothers."
Okay.
He's like, "I'm just gonna buy him equipment. You're fired, basically." We came to LA and bought a whole new setup. Bought speakers, turntables, everything we needed, and he became the DJ.